Sometimes the perfect solution to a problem you didn't even know you had is sitting right there in Dallas, wearing number 11, shooting threes for a team that's struggling to find its identity. Sometimes the missing piece to a championship puzzle isn't some unknown prospect or some aging superstar looking for one last ring. Sometimes it's a four-time NBA champion who the Lakers actually tried to sign just months ago, a sharpshooter who could be the exact remedy to the one glaring weakness on a team that's currently on fire. And by the time I'm done breaking this down for you, you're going to understand why this move, as complicated as it sounds, as wild as it might seem, could be exactly what takes us from a really good team to an unstoppable championship juggernaut. Stay locked in because this is about to get very, very interesting. Welcome to Lakers News Fan Report, your home for the most updated news, the deepest analysis, and all the rumors surrounding our beloved Los Angeles Lakers. I'm here every single day to make sure you're informed, engaged, and ready for whatever comes next in our quest for banner number 18. Let me start by addressing something that might seem contradictory at first. The Lakers are 15-4. We've won 7 straight games coming into this week. We're playing some of the best basketball in the entire NBA. LeBron James is defying age and logic. Anthony Davis is dominating on both ends of the floor. Austin Reeves has emerged as a legitimate third star. Everything seems to be clicking. So why on earth would we be talking about making a trade? Why would we mess with chemistry that's clearly working? Why would we risk disrupting the momentum we've built? The answer is simple. Because good teams recognize their weaknesses before they become fatal flaws. Because championship teams are always looking to get better, even when things are going well. Because the goal isn't just to win games in December, it's to hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy in June. And if you're being honest, if you're really watching these games with a critical eye, you know we have one glaring weakness that could come back to haunt us when we're facing the best teams in the playoffs. Three-point shooting. That's our Achilles heel. That's the one area where we're legitimately struggling compared to the elite teams in the league. The Lakers are currently ranked 25th in the NBA in three-pointers made per game at just 11.6. We're 21st in three-point percentage at 35%. Those are not championship-caliber numbers. Those are the kinds of numbers that get you beat in a 7-game series when the defense tightens up and every possession matters. Think about what happens in the playoffs. Defenses load up on LeBron. They send multiple defenders at AD in the paint. They force role players to beat them from the perimeter. And if those role players can't consistently knock down open threes, the offense stagnates. The spacing collapses. Everything becomes harder than it needs to be. We've seen this movie before. We know how it ends. And if Rob Pelinka and the Lakers brass are serious about winning a championship this year, they need to address this issue before it's too late. Now, before I get into the specifics of what I'm about to propose, I want to acknowledge something. Making trades when you're on a 7-game winning streak feels counterintuitive. It feels like you're messing with success. But the best general managers in the NBA don't wait for problems to become crises. They're proactive. They identify areas of improvement, and they act decisively. That's what separates good teams from great teams. That's what separates teams that win 60 games and lose in the second round from teams that cut down the nets in June. So, let's talk about a trade scenario that's been floated recently. It's a 3-team deal that involves the Lakers, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Charlotte Hornets. It's complex. It involves multiple players and draft picks. But when you break it down, when you really analyze what each team gets and why it makes sense, it's actually brilliant. And the centerpiece of this deal, at least from the Lakers' perspective, is a player who could solve our three-point shooting problem overnight. Let me set the stage by talking about the other 2 teams involved, because understanding their situations is crucial to understanding why this deal could actually happen. The Dallas Mavericks are 6-15. That's a disaster. That's a team that made the NBA Finals last year and is now in complete freefall. Luka Doncic is out with an injury. Kyrie Irving is recovering from an ACL injury. They desperately need a primary ball handler who can run the offense and create opportunities for others. They need someone who can take the pressure off Luka when he returns and allow their young players like Cooper Flagg to play their natural positions. Charlotte is 6-14, and they're in a similar situation. They have a talented young roster, but they're going nowhere fast. And there have been reports, multiple reports from credible sources, that LaMelo Ball is unhappy in Charlotte. Yahoo Sports reported on November 20th that league sources indicated Ball is open to being traded. When a young star like that is open to leaving, when there's smoke around his future with the franchise, smart organizations start listening to offers. They don't wait until the situation deteriorates further and his trade value drops. So here's how the three-team deal would work. Dallas gets LaMelo Ball, giving them the dynamic point guard they desperately need to stabilize their season and build around for the future. Charlotte gets a massive haul that includes Rui Hachimura, who's on a 3-year, $51 million contract, plus Dalton Knecht, Max Christie, Gabe Vincent, and a 2029 first-round pick from the Lakers. That's a serious package. That's the kind of return that makes trading your best player palatable, especially when that player has indicated he wants out. And the Lakers? The Lakers get Klay Thompson and Daniel Gafford from Dallas. Let that sink in for a second. Klay Thompson, a 4-time NBA champion, one of the greatest shooters in NBA history, a player who the Lakers literally pursued in free agency just months ago before he signed a 3-year, $50 million deal with Dallas. A player who knows what it takes to win at the highest level. A player who would instantly address our biggest weakness. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Klay isn't the same player he was in his Warriors' prime. His production has dipped. He's not the elite two-way player he once was. And you're right. But here's the thing. Klay Thompson, in a reduced role, playing alongside LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Austin Reeves, in a system where he doesn't have to be the primary scorer or defender, where he can just focus on doing what he does best, which is shooting threes and playing within the flow of the offense, that's a completely different proposition than Klay Thompson trying to be the second or third option on a struggling Dallas team. Context matters in basketball. Fit matters. The Lakers don't need Klay to be a 25-point-per-game scorer. They don't need him to guard the other team's best perimeter player for 40 minutes. They need him to do one thing exceptionally well: shoot threes, knock down open shots when LeBron and AD draw the defense, provide spacing that makes everything easier for everyone else. And that's something Klay can absolutely still do at an elite level. Think about the lineups we could run with Klay on this roster. Imagine LeBron driving to the basket with Klay spotted up in the corner. Imagine AD posting up with Klay on the wing ready to catch and shoot. Imagine Austin Reeves running pick and roll with AD while Klay and LeBron space the floor on opposite sides. The defensive rotations that would require, the impossible decisions opposing defenses would have to make, it's almost unfair. You can't help off Klay. You just can't. Even at this stage of his career, even with diminished athleticism, he's still one of the most respected shooters in the league. Defenders have to close out hard on him every single time, and that opens up everything else. Let's talk numbers for a second because this is important. Klay is averaging around 12 points per game this season in Dallas. That's down from his peak years. But he's still shooting around 38% from three on about 6 attempts per game. That's solid. That's productive. And remember, he's doing that on a dysfunctional Dallas team where the offense is disjointed and the ball movement is poor. Put him in the Lakers system in a motion offense with multiple playmakers, with better spacing and more open looks, and those numbers improve. I'd be shocked if he doesn't shoot 40% or better from three as a Laker. And here's another factor people aren't talking about enough. Klay Thompson wanted to be a Laker. The Lakers pursued him hard in free agency. There was mutual interest. He ultimately chose Dallas for various reasons, including money and the opportunity to play with Luka, but the Lakers were legitimately in the mix. That tells you something about his willingness to come here, about his fit with what we're trying to do. This isn't a situation where we're trading for a guy who doesn't want to be here or who doesn't fit our culture. This is a situation where we're getting a second chance at a player we already identified as a target. Now let's talk about Daniel Gafford, because he's part of this deal too, and he's not just a throw-in. Gafford is a legitimate starting caliber center who would come off our bench behind Anthony Davis. Think about what that does for our depth. Think about the minutes we can give AD at the 4 when Gafford is in the game playing the 5. Think about the rim protection and rebounding Gafford provides when AD needs a breather. We've struggled with center depth all season. Jackson Hayes has been inconsistent. Christian Wood is still working his way back. Gafford solves that problem immediately. Gafford is averaging around 9 points and 6 rebounds in limited minutes this season. He's shooting over 60% from the field. He's an elite rim runner who finishes, lobs, and putbacks. He's a solid pick and roll defender who can protect the rim. He's exactly the kind of backup big you want on a championship team. Low maintenance, high efficiency, does the dirty work, doesn't need plays called for him. That's valuable. That's the kind of depth that wins you games in May and June when rotations tighten and every possession matters. So let's talk about what we're giving up, because that's obviously a huge part of evaluating any trade. Rui Hachimura is the headliner going out. Rui has been solid for us. He's a versatile forward who can score, defend multiple positions, and fit into various lineup configurations. Losing him hurts. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, but here's the reality. Rui is a good player. He's not a great player. He's not someone you build around. He's not someone who's going to be the difference between winning and losing a championship. He's a nice piece, but he's expendable if you're getting back a player like Klay Thompson who addresses a critical need. Dalton Knecht is a rookie who's shown flashes, but is still very raw. Max Christie is a young player with potential who hasn't consistently cracked the rotation. Gabe Vincent has been injured and ineffective when healthy. None of these guys are untouchable. None of these guys are players you refuse to trade if it means upgrading your roster for a championship run. The 2029 first-round pick is the most valuable asset we're giving up besides Rui, but that's 5 years away. LeBron will be retired. This core will be completely different. You don't hold on to picks 5 years in the future when you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis in their primes right now. You go all in. You maximize your window. You worry about the future later. Let me address the elephant in the room: chemistry. We've built something special this season. The locker room is great. Guys are playing for each other. There's a genuine camaraderie and trust that's been developed. Trading away multiple rotation players could disrupt that. It's a legitimate concern. But here's the counterpoint. Klay Thompson is a champion. He's been through the wars. He knows how to fit into winning cultures. He's not a diva. He's not a guy who's going to come in and demand shots or cause problems. He's a professional who understands his role and executes it. Adding him doesn't destroy chemistry. It enhances it, because you're bringing in someone who's won at the highest level and can teach the younger guys what it takes. And let's be real about something else. This Lakers team, as good as we've been, hasn't been tested yet. We haven't faced a healthy Celtics team in a 7-game series. We haven't gone up against Denver in the playoffs. We haven't had to win 4 straight elimination games against elite competition. When those moments come, and they will come if we're going to win a championship, you want every advantage you can get. You want the best possible roster construction. You want shooters who can space the floor and make defenses pay for helping. You want depth at every position. You want championship experience and poise. Klay Thompson brings all of that. Let's also talk about the tactical adjustments this trade would allow J.J. Redick to make. Right now, our offense is predicated on LeBron and AD creating advantages and then kicking out to shooters. But when those shooters aren't consistently knocking down shots, defenses can cheat. They can load up on drives. They can help more aggressively. They can make life difficult for our stars. With Klay on the floor, that changes completely. Defenses have to respect the three-point line. They have to honor the spacing. They can't help as freely. And that makes everything easier for everyone. Imagine late-game situations. It's a tied game with 2 minutes left. LeBron has the ball at the top of the key. AD is posting up on the block. Austin Reeves is in the corner, and Klay Thompson is on the opposite wing. Where do you help from? Who do you leave open? There's no good answer. Every option is dangerous. That's the kind of offense that's impossible to stop in crunch time. That's the kind of lineup that wins championships. I also want to talk about the defensive side because that's important too. Yes, Klay has lost a step defensively. He's not the lockdown perimeter defender he was in his prime. But he's still smart. He's still experienced. He still understands positioning and team defense concepts. In our system, where we switch a lot and play help defense, where we don't ask one guy to lock down the other team's best player for 40 minutes, Klay can absolutely hold his own. He's not a liability. He's a serviceable defender who can make the right rotations and contest shots. That's good enough when you have AD protecting the rim behind you. And Gafford is actually a really solid defender. He's long, he's athletic, he can guard the pick and roll, and he's an elite rim protector. Adding him to our center rotation makes us better defensively, not worse. So the idea that this trade would hurt our defense is just not accurate. We might lose a little bit of versatility with Rui leaving, but we gain shooting and depth, which are more valuable to our specific roster construction. Now, let's talk about the timeline and feasibility of this trade actually happening. Trade season in the NBA really heats up in January and February as teams assess where they are and decide whether to buy or sell. Dallas is clearly in crisis mode. They can't afford to waste a year of Luka's prime. If they keep losing and fall out of playoff contention entirely, they're going to be desperate to make changes. LaMelo Ball gives them a dynamic young point guard who can take over games and run the offense. That's exactly what they need. For Dallas, this trade makes perfect sense. Charlotte is rebuilding whether they admit it or not. If LaMelo wants out, if there's tension between him and the organization, trading him for a massive haul of young players and draft picks is the smart move. Rui Hachimura can be a building block. Dalton Knecht and Max Christie have upside. The 2029 first-round pick could be valuable. We're making a calculated bet that a four-time champion shooter can help us win a title in the next year or two. That's a bet I'm willing to make every single time. So here's my question for all of you. Would you make this trade? Would you give up Rui Hachimura, Dalton Knecht, Max Christie, Gabe Vincent, and a 2029 first-round pick to get Klay Thompson and Daniel Gafford? Does this move make us championship favorites? Does it address our biggest weakness without creating new problems? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below because this is the kind of move that divides fan bases. Some people will love it, some people will hate it, but everyone should have an opinion. If you want to stay on top of every Lakers trade rumor, every roster move, every strategic decision that Rob Pelinka makes, you need to subscribe to Lakers News Fan Report. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. We're here every single day bringing you the content you need to stay connected to your Los Angeles Lakers. This is our championship window. These are the moves that will determine whether we're cutting down nets or watching someone else celebrate. Let's stay informed. Let's stay engaged. Let's bring Banner 18 home to LA.